But this is something a little bit different. I didn't set out to make a video on dishwasher repair, but I got into it and I found something interesting I thought I'd share. Renter called, the dishwasher was leaking. I went over there, took the kick panel off of it, and quickly found the leak. And while I was under there looking at the leak, trying to track it down, I was manually turning the dial, forcing it to go into wash cycle and then drain cycle. I noticed the large motor was spinning different directions. So in the wash, it'd run clockwise, and then on the drain, it'd go counterclockwise, or vice versa. But I noticed it was reversing. I thought, well, that's pretty cool. Didn't understand why exactly at the time until I got it all apart. So anyway, the problem was it needed a seal kit. That's probably a 20-year-old dishwasher. Got me a new little ceramic seal here. Pretty common in any kind of little water pumps you find. I think they're called a mechanical seal. So I got that, got a new impeller. And while I was getting into it, well, let me back up a little bit. It's kind of unique because this uses one motor for the dishwasher. I've noticed a lot of the newer dishwashers, they use a two-motor system. So you'll have like your main motor, which looks like something like that. And you see it, I mean, you can hold it in your hand. They're really quite small for the new dishwashers. And look at the price of the stupid things. It's insane. You can't afford to fix these new ones. You just have to throw them away. But this is an older style. You can more afford them. But also the newer style, you have, like I said, two separate motors. You have, this is the motor out of the newer style, one that pumps the water out. So they have a two-motor system. One to do the washing, one to do the draining. But this is an old Whirlpool, and it gets away with just one motor. And you see how much larger it is. Big, heavy-duty motor. Large windings, strong, lasts forever. So let me get my phone set up here and I'll talk a little bit more about it. Okay, let's try to get a little lay of the land, how things work. We got a motor here, we got a pump housing, we got this goes in the center of the bottom of the dishwasher, and then you got your spray arm. And it sits down here. Of course, while it's washing, that thing's rotating. And with these older ones, you can really hear because it's so loud, it has so much power, you can really hear as the water's being sprayed and going around the box. It whoosh, whoosh. And these newer ones, you cannot hear them at all because I don't think they got the power that these, with those little bitty motors, they just don't have the power that these old ones do. But one thing, it's kind of interesting how these operate and how they rotate. See, they rotate by the water pressure. See how this one here is pushed at an angle? These are more straight. But this one here sprays at an angle. So as it sprays up at an angle, it forces the rotation. So this thing rotates just off the water pressure. Gets it going around, keeping all your dishes clean. But you got an idea how that works. So as I was taking it apart, just putting in my seal, see there's the old ceramic seal right there that I got to replace. And then here's also the old impeller. And there's another, I don't know if that's another hard surface, but I don't know if it's ceramic or not. But whatever it is, that's your mechanical seal that keeps the water from leaking out. And I got a new impeller, new seal, all that stuff. So when this thing's together, remember I talked about how the motor reverses. So I was wondering why it reversed. So it reverses so it can do two jobs in one. They got one motor doing two jobs. So that's what I found fascinating, and how they accomplished that. So, and I kind of come by accident because I was curious, of course. So as I took it apart, I found this little device here. Well, let me put the cover on here. There it is. So this is the discharge pipe. So after you wash your dish, normally the water's being sucked in here. It's being blowed out, goes through the spin, does its thing. When it gets done with the cycle, the timer says, okay, let's pump the water out. So the motor reverses, and then the water is pumped out and goes down your drain, out your sewer. So I got to wonder, well, how does it accomplish that? Just by reversing the motor. So I thought that was pretty cool. How they do this, there's this little rubber diaphragm looking thing. Actually, it's a rubber valve. That's how it works. So this rubber valve sits right in here. So while you're in the wash cycle, this is spinning counterclockwise. So the water is being pulled in. This thing is spinning really fast counterclockwise. The centrifugal force is throwing that water to the outside. If you look in here, you see how it's got the little notch where it catches it. And then it catches it, and it throws it right up the throat and starts washing your dishes. But at the same time, oops, sorry about that. I had a call coming in. I had to stop it. At the same time, as that water's being thrown up, it creates a little bit of back pressure. Well, that back pressure is forced through the small hole. So that back pressure gets in behind this rubber diaphragm, and when it does, it starts pushing up on the diaphragm, and as it pushes up, it extends. And then when it extends, it sits right against this right here, and that seals it off. So while we're in washing mode, so as that motor's spinning counterclockwise, this thing extends up, shuts it off, so water can't flow out, even though you got water pressure on both sides. When it's in wash cycle, it's got more pressure in this hole than it does that one, if that makes sense. I'm trying to explain it best I can. Whoops, come on, parts, behave. So we have that high water pressure on this side of the diaphragm. It pushes up, seals off this hole, so it continues to wash, and you're not wasting water going down the drain. But then what's cool about it, the moment that it reverses, so then we got our impeller back in here. Okay, so now instead of going counterclockwise, now it goes clockwise rotation. So as it spins clockwise rotation, you see there's another little notch right here. It catches the water. Now it's spinning the other way, slinging that water out. Not with as much force, but it's still enough to pump it out. So it comes out here, and then it's directed into this port here. And then when it does that, the diaphragm is pushed down the opposite way, opening up this hole, allowing the water to pump out. So I just thought that was pretty cool how they come up with that design. There's always 100 different ways to do anything, but I kind of found that interesting how they created that. And sometimes I like the old school stuff. It just seems to work better, and it's more repairable. A lot of these new things, it's just throwaway society, unfortunately. But anyhow, I thought that was interesting, and I'm going to finish putting this together. I might video that too. I might as well. I'm here. Okay, real-time assembly. Let's go. Got to remember how this goes back together because I took this part about a week ago. I know I need a little clampy thing. That right there. That's right. Put your parts in a cup or something, so that way you can look back when you're done. Make sure you don't have any leftover parts. That's never a good thing. Well, that's not good either. When parts go flying. Alright, good thing I cleaned up my garage a little bit. I can find stuff a little bit better now. Alright. Got that part done. Okay, we need to pop out this old seal. There it is. Wasn't so hard, was it? Alright. That's something to keep in mind, because you can tell it's got some wear on it, but try to keep your new parts in a package. You don't want to mix them up. It'd be bad to accidentally put an old seal back in there, so get that out of my way. Get my new seal. I'm going to got just a little dab of Vaseline here I'm going to put on there to make sure it goes. I got too much. Let me get a clean rag down here. Alright. Okay, new seal. And then this is ceramic, so you want to be careful with it. You don't want to scratch it with a screwdriver or anything. So let's just put that down in here and just use our finger. Yeah, went in there nice and flush. Well, that feels good. Okay, I guess next step. Well, this is easier. Let me go ahead and put this on here. Something I did, if you're an RVer, you know what this stuff is. 303 aerospace protectant. Because this was kind of getting dried out a little bit, so I put some lube on it to soften it up, let it soak that aerospace protectant in there a little bit. So we'll put that on there, and then there's this little piece here. It creates a nice tight seal. Got that. Some screws. T20 bit. Stagger our screws back and forth, so hopefully we won't have no leaks. Have this back together shortly. Take it back to the renter tomorrow, and she'll be happy. And the seal kit was kind of expensive. I was kind of surprised. It was like 40 bucks for a goofy thing. I guess ceramic is expensive, but it beats buying a new dishwasher. And I think this does a lot better job than some of the newer ones do. All right, so we got that on there. Now we need to just put this onto the motor. It can only go one way because you can see that one little leg's made different. It fits into that hole. That makes life easy. Okay, now motor screws. Here we go. Got 3 of those. Yeah, this is where I guess editing comes into play. That part gets a little boring watching screws be put in. Remember those old Black & Decker screwdrivers? Little rechargeable things. You don't see those much anymore. But now you got those big impact guns that you can go to town with. All right. Okay. Now what's next? We got to get our seal on there. Get the new, so a brand new impeller. And that's another neat thing too. See how this gets this little metal piece. When this screws on, it rubs against that right there. It's kind of looks like a carbon something. Anyway, it's been rubbing on there for 20 years, and kind of creates pressure because that seal. This seal is spring loaded. Where it rides against the ceramic, keeps tension on it all the time. All right, just a little dab. Let me put some more on there. I want to make sure that goes in all the way. Make sure it's seated. All right, that feels good. All right, and then that shaft only goes one way, so I'll rotate it till it lines up. There it goes. You can see how it's got how that seal is spring loaded. It jumps back and forth. All right. So now, all we'll do is put that in there. Let me clean that up a little bit. Let me pause and clean this up. All right, I cleaned the threads up a little bit. I'm gonna spray a little bit of silicone spray on it. So that plastic on plastic go in there good. Alright, good and snug. Turns, we've got no binding and got no leftover parts, so we're in good shape. Alright, so I will put this up in the dishwasher. We'll plumb it up here at the garage and see if it works without leaks. Alright, well, I'm going to hook the water up to this dishwashing machine in my garage so I can test it. But before doing so, I always run my water. I've got a cat fight behind me. Chill out, cats. Ooh, what's going on? Who's doing what? Behave. You picking on Francine? Francine, you okay? Francine, you alright, buddy? Is that mean Dale picking on you? Yeah, I'm sorry. He's gone now. Bad kitty. Go on. All right, back to the repair. Gee whiz. Okay, yeah, blow out the water hose. That's what he's doing. All right. So, because you never know, bugs, worms, all kinds of creepy cruds can get in your water hose. Let's fire this up. Let it run for a minute. Because any bug that may have crawled up in that water hose would end up being inside that valve and mess that valve up. So we got that blowed out good. Okay. Now I know this is a strange looking contraption, but that's what I had to do to get my connection to work. So this is the size fitting I needed to hook to the dishwasher, and I had this stuff laying around, and it's the way it works out. It's not pretty, but it works. So I'm going to hook this up same way and blow it out, because I don't know what bugs could be in those pipes also. All right, water's flowing good. We're ready to hook it up. So you see I got my line hooked up, about ready to put it together, but I wanted to take a few other things apart just to give it a good cleaning, check it out first. You might want to turn away from for this because it's a little nasty, but it will amaze you if you take apart your dishwasher, the creep and crud you find inside of them. So this is what's inside the dishwasher. Don't know what it is, but I see this stuff all the time. It's creep and crud, and while your dishes are being washed, that same water is flowing over this crud. So I'm going to clean all this out real good. But something to think about. Maybe you should run some bleach through your dishwasher every now and then. I don't know if that's a good idea or not, but something to think about. Or just take your dishwasher apart and clean it yourself. Make sure you don't have to put it like that. Okay, I got it cleaned up. Put it back together here and hook up this motor, and we'll be ready for a test run. Okay, the motor's in place. I'm fixing to flip it back upright, and I was going to show you. You could see where the water had been dripping. So that's a kind of a quick indication. You can find out where your problem is. If you look between the motor shaft and the pump itself, you see those water stains. So, because I actually had water dripping out of it, so it's pretty obvious. All right, so we'll flip it up and finish putting these other plastic parts together, and see what happens. So, in case you're wondering, it just sits on there, and you tighten it up. I'll get 2 hands on it, get it good and tight, and we'll fire it up. Well, it's alive, and let's see here. So far, everything is dry, and oh yeah, it's really kicking out the water. And you can really feel the pressure too when it's running. You can feel the power of that spray hitting the top of it. And of course, one reason why I do this here at the house, I want to make sure everything's good and ready to go before I take it back to the renter, because you don't want to be doing testing after you put it all back together under the cabinet. So I'll let this run for a few hours, several cycles, and I'll see how it does, and we'll make sure it's ready to go with no leaks before we deliver. Well, I'm going to call this dishwasher fixed. It's been a couple of days. I ran it through multiple cycles. We have no leaks, so all is good. So I'm going to take it back to the renter, put it all back together and install it. But in finishing up, I was wanting to mention something you may not know about. Oh, some years ago, at some point in time, the powers that be thought it would be a great idea to remove phosphates out of our detergents. So people may have started noticing that their dishwashers wasn't cleaning as well as they used to. In fact, some people went out and bought new dishwashers thinking the dishwasher conked out, but what really was happening is they removed phosphate from the dishwashing detergent. You see this right here? Phosphate free. Well, now if you buy Cascade, I think it's called Cascade Professional, like for what restaurants use, it does have phosphates. Phosphates being the trisodium phosphate. So what I do, and I've been doing it for years, is I'll put about, in our part that you fill up down here, I'll put about, 2/3 Cascade and 1/3 TSP. And that really gets your dishes clean. But if you don't want to do that, if you really want super clean dishes, you can get on Amazon. You can find detergent that does have the phosphates in it. I think it's called Cascade Professional. Anyhow, but also if your dishwasher conks out on you, you might really want to think about trying to fix it yourself. These newer dishwashers have all kinds of electronics on them, and if it conks out, well, their parts are so expensive it's not worth fixing. These older ones, you can get parts. This cost me $40 to fix, and it may run for another 5 or 10 years. and it does a good job getting the dishes clean. So something to think about. You know, if it's broke, go ahead and take it apart. You ain't got nothing to lose. It's already broke. And if you can fix it yourself, it'll make you feel pretty good. And then and save yourself a whole bunch of money in the same time. Well, thanks for watching. Have a blessed day. See ya. Bye.